like to welcome people back, and we're sitting with Scott again,
So where were we? Murray?
Where were we before the film crew rolled in?
Yes.
No, remarkable times. You think of when we met and where we are today. It's
we've come a long way, and
we've come a long way, and then it's starting to step back now. That's the crazy part. That's the part we'd like to talk about, but we won't get into.
Well, I hope we do get into it, because there are some lessons that we've learned over our lives, especially about the impermanence of things. What we really want to leave with the next generation is, do not assume because your life is easier now than ours was that it will continue to be easier. Yeah. It can all be wiped away with the stroke of a pen, and if you want to see what's happening, take a look to the south.
I want to talk a little bit more of you and Stanley and your beautiful history. You met in 1981.
We met in, well, it was actually 1982 when we met, because it was New Year's Day.
Okay.
1982, and it, like I said, we just really liked each other more than there was ever a sexual attraction or there was anything sort of lustful about it. We just really liked each other. Mm-hmm. And it grew into a love that lasted 44 years. I don't regret that day at all in my life, at all.
Well, it's a beautiful love story. It's a beautiful love story. There's so many lessons within that. Tell me about how the young Scott and Stan, because there was a bit of an age difference there.
22 years.
22 years. How did that play out in your relationship in the early years, and how did that change later? Because age gap relationships are a real thing. I've got friends that met when they were 30 and 60. Now they're 60 and 90.
Exactly. So I mean,
talk about those early years, Scott.
The early years. The early years were interesting. I always figured I was more of an old soul anyway to begin with, and I had more in common with people in their 40s when I was 20 than I did with the 20-year-olds I was hanging out. I found them really vapid and sort of, to tell you the truth, not that interesting. Mm-hmm. Whereas I got around these men that had had years of life experience and had stories to tell, and they had experiences to pass along. I felt more comfortable in that environment than I ever did with the trendy gay club rave scene. I just did not feel comfortable there.
So when you met as a younger man, tell me how that changed.
I was 23.
That's young. And Stan was how old?
45.
So how did Scott and Stan, the couple, turn into Scott and Stan and this dynamic, amazing group of people? How did that grow from Scott and Stan into this amazing parties that 100 or 150 people showed up in this house?
I never did quite figure that out, to tell you the truth, Murray. Again, all we were was just our authentic selves. And people seemed to like it, and people would stay around. And I think that has more to do with being authentic to yourself than it does with anything else. I do know that I see a lot of people, especially these days, trying to project an image of themselves that is far more successful than they actually are in mm-hmm. reality, and that they're far more intelligent, and they're far more popular, and that I just keep thinking, why don't you just accept exactly who and what you are and live that to the best of your ability, instead of chasing a dream that never will probably happen?
One of the fun things I loved about those early parties back in the 90s and the early 2000s were the kinds. I always looked forward to these parties because it not only a lot of people, but every size, every color, every gender.
It was eclectic.
How did that happen? How did the men and women, the gay and straight?
I honestly don't know. They were just people that we ran into as we negotiated ourselves through life.
And part of those people were some of them were part of the leather community as well.
Some of them were, some of them weren't. And it was I looked at parties at our place, and it was a mixing event. And you would watch people start off the evening sort of in their little clusters. And by the end, everybody was talking to everybody else, and everybody had a story, and everybody was listening and laughing and getting along.
Do you realize the amount of education that took place at these parties from each? I learned so much from so many other people because my boyfriend and I, back in 19... when we were hanging out together.
Back when they were doing stone tablets.
it was the gay guys. But coming to your house was such a different kind of party, and how people got to know each other and learn from each other, I found extraordinary.
Gays, lesbians, straights, black, white, Indian, they're
leather, non-leather.
We didn't see, I guess we never saw differences to separate us. We saw differences as something to be celebrated. So when we had a celebration, we made it different.
And then on top of that, the family.
Oh,
you'd have these parties.
You want different? Let's talk about my family.
Well, the collision of Stan's family and your family, and what I call the logical versus biological family, and the realities of that collision, and everybody's in the same damn house talking and learning from each other. Talk about how the kids in the family and how the rest of Stan's family and your family came together in these kinds of circumstances and gatherings. It always amazed me.
Why would it amaze you? I mean, I'm really curious about that, Murray.
For me personally, it was
I know the relationship you have with your family, and it is tight.
Yeah, but my family never included leather people and gay people. It was a few gay people and aunts and uncles and everything. But this, you guys practiced what you preach in such a beautiful way. When we talk about inclusion today, you were doing it decades ago. With your family and with friends and with welcoming new people to town.
Well, I think it's all about being authentic and being emotionally mature enough to be able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes and maybe see something from their viewpoint. And that will do a lot to make you stand up and greet somebody that hasn't been seen in the area before, because you realize that they are probably brand new and they're probably scared out of their wits.
And they could be in their 20s and they could be in their 50s or 60s.
They could be in their 70s.
That's
and
right.
The same type of thing. I mean, people don't change. They don't.
The beautiful thing for me is I've learned over the years, discrimination hinders coming out, but coming out hinders discrimination.
Yes, it
does. And for people to come to a party and see other gay people with straight people and realize it's not the big deal that everybody thought it was. And that's why not only were the parties a lot of fun and crazy good times, but the conversations and the normalcy of family.
That's the point.
Because I've said for years, if you shake any family tree hard enough, the fruit falls out of it.
Well,
there's gay people in every family.
The fruit of the nuts.
Yeah, that too. Talk about Stan's family and his kids.
Stan's family is... I'm trying to think of a good word for Stan's family. It is certainly rambunctious. It is not clean. It is not every lovey-dovey thing. They argue, they fight, they shake their hands at one another, but they love each other like there is no tomorrow. And you cannot shake that out of them.
Mm-hmm.
So when Stan and I got together, he was on speaking terms with his ex-wife. His ex-wife, for some reason, decided that she liked me and actively encouraged our relationship.
Wow, that's extraordinary.
Including to the point where she told me how to get him to talk when he didn't want to.
Wow.
Apparently 2 gin and tonics go a long way. Anyway, he also had 2 children with this woman, 2 boys, Paul and Richard. Paul would have been about 15 or so, 15, 16 when we got together, and Richard would have been 14. He was just coming up to his bar mitzvah. Stan was running a group in Edmonton called Gay Fathers, and it was for people like you just said. A lot of us were so desperate to be normal, we pushed ourselves into relationships that probably shouldn't have happened. I still feel very badly for my ex-wife, but to be brutally frank, I probably never would have come out of the closet if I hadn't been able to make that break from her.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, I'm sorry, and in a way, I'm thankful for her as well. With Stan, however, it was interesting because I remember writing a letter to my parents to come out to them. I was living in Edmonton at the time. They were in Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
And I laid everything out. And I got a call from my mother who said, "We don't mind that you're seeing a man. We don't mind that you're seeing an older man. We don't mind that you're seeing even a Jewish man." You have to remember, this is an Australian household.
Mm-hmm.
She says, "We're having a little trouble with the fact that he's British."
Interesting.
And as I can hear my father in the background going, "A bloody whinging palmy bastard, that's what he is." It
Wow.
clicked. So yeah, that was the only friction that we really had, well, besides the fact that my father really disowned me for about 30 years, but the rest of the family was just fine.
Yeah.
And it was the British thing that was causing them the biggest problem.
And with Paul at 15, how did that evolve? And,
Well,
and
Paul
what
at that
happened after
point-
that?
Paul at that point was beginning to really dip his toe into the fine arts. And I'm sure everybody who has children can sort of identify with this, but I remember the only time we heard from them is when they wanted money.
Of course.
You know, so I'd pick up the phone and I'd say, "Hello, Paul," and Stan would grab his checkbook. It was just automatic.
Yeah.
That went on for several years. Paul did come back to Edmonton and created and ran the First Night Festival here for several years, and then was poached by Vancouver to do the same thing. Didn't work as well there. He is now running the entertainment for UBC, so he's done quite well with himself. Richard, on the other hand, and I should mention that Paul is like as gay as pink icing.
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is.
How did that work with the family and with you? Two gay dads, and all of a sudden you got a gay kid. You know, most people would say it's your fault you turned your kid gay. That's what happened with me.
No, didn't happen with us. What happened usually is when we walked up to, say, back in those days, the bars were all private clubs. You had to buy a membership to get into it, and you had to be on the membership list to get in, period. So I remember walking up to Flashback at the time, and the guy behind the door used to be Captain John, if you remember him, and he just looked up and he said, "Y'all should get a fucking family membership. Your ex-wife is here, both your boys are here, and they brought friends, and now you're here? Jesus Christ, do the Sanses not go out except on mass?"
That's awesome.
That was how we got reacted to mostly.
And the beautiful part for me is I had the tremendous honor to MC Paul's wedding when he married Bryan last year in Puerto Vallarta. And then they had a second wedding in Vancouver, a remarkable evolution. For me, it was a pretty special time for
We should
good
sort
old
of mention
Auntie M.
why there was two weddings.
Please tell the story.
Paul and Bryan wanted to get married, and this was during Stan's last weeks.
Yeah.
And we all knew it was going to be shortly. So they pulled together something in Mexico just to make sure their dad could see them exchange vows. So they broadcasted it to us, and we sat in that room that we converted into a hospital room for him and watched it and cried.
Yeah. A beautiful time.
It was a beautiful time.
Very emotional time for everybody.
Little disorganized, but very beautiful.
It was, what a remarkable story, what a remarkable family, Scott. What a legacy that Stan and you have left, and your legacy will continue in so many different ways.
Unless you know something I don't.
Well, stay tuned. More at 11, as they say. What I would like to talk to you a little bit now, Scott, is what advice do you have for our current community leaders and our future community leaders? What lessons, what ideas do you have to share with community members and community leaders of today and tomorrow that you think would apply and be instructive for them?
That's a pretty broad question.
It's a big question.
It is a big question, and there's several things that come to mind, Murray. I'm going to break it down into pieces first. As the larger community, I want you to be aware of how much being politically active will impact your life. We had to get very politically active to shift the dial of social normality into where it is now. And yes, I know that everybody thinks it was old white gay men that did this. Well, yeah, it was. But the reason it was is because old gay white men actually got listened to.
Mm-hmm.
We used the power that we had, and we used every scrap of the power we had to shift the dial so that our younger folk behind us wouldn't have to deal with the crap that we did.
That's right. Which means vote, volunteer, and donate your time and money.
And educate yourself. Educate yourself specifically on the issues in the political spectrum, who is talking what, and hold them accountable to it as well.
Absolutely.
Because voting is one part of it. Holding people to account is even more important. The reason I say this is because what you think of as normal right now could be erased with a pen stroke.
Normal is a setting on a dryer.
Dishwasher.
Yeah, exactly. Because things will change.
Things will change. And you have to be, and I'm not saying you had to maybe go as silence or death crap that we had to go through in the AIDS years. You don't have to be that intense, but you do have to be aware. And you have to be aware more of where your power is and how you can use that power. Secondly, I think I want to talk to my trans brothers and sisters for a moment. A couple of pieces of advice. Number one, try and find your voice. It's something that we struggled with for years at the beginning, to find sort of a cohesive voice that we could present to people. Find that cohesive voice. Doesn't mean that you don't all have to walk lockstep. You don't have to all dress the same. You don't have to all think the same. No, you don't. But you have to have at least a foundation that all of you believe in at the same time to build from it. And then I think I want to leave a hope here, because my life has sort of been based on hope. Hope that I can have an influence to make things better. Hope that the kid that I see walking into a bar looking absolutely petrified will find the family that he needs to find, because obviously he hasn't found it anywhere else. He or she,
mm-hmm.
or whatever gender they choose right now. And you'll have to excuse me on this. This is This is a brand new thing for a very old brain to have to sort out. And we are doing the best we can. Occasionally we will slip up, and there will be honest and sincere apologies about that. But we're human, and we will mess up. And this idea that one mess up should cancel you out of everything is a little severe, and it will not serve you well in your life.
Cancel culture isn't something that works incredibly well for anybody.
No, unfortunately it isn't. And I guess that would be about all I would want to leave as a reminder. Those of us who have lived through this period of history have a lot of stories, and we as a group do not want to be extolled or put on pedestals or adored, but we also don't want to be forgotten.
That's right.
We have to remember that even we, as a generation that changed the law in this country, which is basically what we did with the Delwyn-Vrend case, really want nothing more than acknowledgement that you're standing on our shoulders to get to your goals. So
it's one of those somebody should do something, but you're somebody, right?
Yeah, you are somebody. Why aren't you doing something?
Scott, anything different for the younger people coming out, or even the older people coming out? These people that are just peeking out of the closet door and saying, I think I can do this. I know you talked a little bit about, coming into that bar, but, to have the courage to speak to a friend, to speak to a family member.
I agree, but I mean, it's going to come down to the individual person coming out, because it is so much your journey. It's nobody else's, it's yours. You get to decide where you want to go. Yeah. You also have to realize that you are going to reap or you are going to suffer the consequences of every one of those decisions. So, yes, be supportive to those who are around you. But at the same time, do not dictate what they need to do. They will do the things they need to do at the time they need to do them.
I think one of the things that we've learned, and I think many in our community have learned, that living a life of risk, regret, guilt, shame, and ridicule is no way to live.
Well, it isn't living, it's existing.
And coming out provides that freedom, provides a process to step into your authentic self, if you will.
Well, coming out is just part of the process. I mean, I've seen straight people come out into their own authenticness themselves simply because they stopped believing what everybody told them they should do. And they started making decisions for themselves because they were the best decisions for themselves.
It's so interesting how we as a community have become instructive for other people. We call it coming out. We have a process, but there's something called covering. So you talk to anybody in the world, they'll cover, say, I have this job, but not that job. I like this, but I don't really like this, just to fit in.
Yeah.
So everybody in our world has their own closet in their own way.
Absolutely.
So to kind of wrap things up, Scott, we've looked at our pride and seen successes and seen the ups and downs of our community. The prides go, the parades go, then they stop. COVID was a big impact. What are your future hopes for Pride and the larger community? Where do you want to see that go with our diverse community these days?
Pride to me was never anything more than a celebration of human rights, period. It wasn't a celebration about being gay, it wasn't a celebration about being bi or trans or whatever letter is still left in our alphabet that I haven't covered. Mm-hmm. It was simply a parade about joy, about the human condition and how joyful that can be. And when you see people starting to twist it for political ends or for power plays, it saddens me. So I'm hoping we can get to a point, and this might sound sort of radical, where we don't need a pride parade anymore. People just are.
Yeah. Well, in our community, how many gay bars do we have? How many bathhouses do we have? It's such a different community. When we were young, we had to go to the bar, and now I feel like Italian tonight. You just away you go.
Well, true, but I mean, even if you do want to go out, you just go out, because nobody gives a rat's ass anymore. Most people don't.
Most people do.
Most people are pretty cool with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Scott, what a distinct pleasure and honor to sit there and have this conversation. Love you.
Love you too. I'm too old to bend over like that.
Like what?
Thanks, everybody. I'm glad you spent some time listening to my story, and I hope you got something reasonably good from it. Thank you again.